Now, I'm pleased to introduce our next speaker, Naren Chelappa. Naren is our Program Director at Career Success Australia, a leading career coaching and internships firm in Melbourne. Today, Naren will share some tips on how to blitz your next job interview. Please join me in welcoming our speaker. Over to you, Naren.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your patience. I'm hoping that everyone can see me and hear me. I'm Naren Chelappa. I'm the Program Director at Career Success Australia. So welcome, everyone. My workshop is going to focus on the all-important job interview. So in my experience, guys, getting to the job interview stage is often the hardest part of cracking a job. I find if you can actually make it to the job interview stage, it's an awesome thing, mainly because you've probably been selected out of 50 or 100 plus candidates, and the selection panel, they've obviously read your resume and cover letter, and they've seen things in there that make them feel that you have the skills, the capabilities, the qualifications and experience to do the job that they're hiring for. And so when you get to the interview round, it's really an opportunity for you to present yourself and to sell your skills and experience. So today's workshop is really going to focus on those elements. So in terms of who we are, so we're a graduate career consulting firm, Career Success Australia. We're a government recommended career services provider. Our team has a wealth of experience when it comes to graduate career coaching. We have lots of links with different companies in IT, engineering, accounting, all around Australia. We organise internships, we do career consulting and coaching to help people to get jobs. You can read more about us online, but let's get moving on these slides. So I might just pause for a second. I want you guys to have a think about, what do you think are the top sort of screening questions you get when a recruiter calls you? What kind of visa are you on? Yes, MUN jobs. Yep, Aaron Taylor, how's your day going? Why do you want to apply for this job? Yeah, what visa are you on? Tell me about yourself. Awesome, residency. So the residency thing is coming up, particularly for an international student or graduate. Here are the top 10 questions I think you're likely to get. Number one, an icebreaker question. Hey, can you tell me a bit about yourself? What are you currently doing? Okay, they probably know the answer to this because it should be in your resume, what you're currently doing, your current role. Why do you want to leave your current job if you're currently working? What are your salary expectations? What made you apply for this job? They want to know your motivation, okay? What's your visa status? That was a popular one in the chat box. Career goals. I'd like to ask this one. How do you think your experience matches what we're looking for? And another important question is, when can you start? And I sometimes ask, where do you live? Okay. Another good one is, what are you looking for in your next role? So these are the top sort of 10 screening questions you're likely to get. I'll cover this at the end, but another really interesting thing is, when you're probably applying for lots of jobs, and you may be applying for 5, 10, 20 jobs a day. Okay, so it's easy to lose track on which job the recruiter's calling you on. Okay, so what I recommend you do is keep a spreadsheet. Okay, keep a tracking sheet of all the jobs. And if you do get called for a screening interview, sometimes you may not remember which job it is. So it's okay to ask the recruiter. So if they call you and you answer the phone like, hi, it's Naren here, blah, blah, blah. And they say, oh, look, it's Jason here from Hayes Recruitment. I'm just calling up regarding the IT help desk role that you applied for. Now, you may have applied for 50 help desk jobs, okay? And one of them could have a network focus. The other one could have a Microsoft focus. The other one could be more into security. So it's okay to actually ask and say, I'm sure, Jason, sorry, which position were you, was this in reference to? at the beginning of the call, try and find out which role it was, okay, so that you can best customize your answers. So take a photo of these questions or try and write them down or screenshot it, because these are the questions I want you guys to start building answers to. Tell me about yourself. The icebreaker question. In most interviews, this is the first question you're going to get. Personally, when I'm doing recruitment and I'm shortlisting and interviewing candidates, I generally mix it up a bit, okay, and ask, you know, what made you apply for this role? Or I might even throw a curveball question, okay, and ask, tell me something about you that's not on your CV, okay? And so you might get a mix of different questions, okay? But here's generally the opening structure, or a lot of people give me this answer. So have a quick look at this one, guys. So you might find this a bit funny, but particularly for candidates who are not from Australia, so we're talking about international students and graduates, sometimes I hear this sort of tell me about yourself response. Hi, my name's Narendra Albert Chellappa, okay, so full name, and I come from Sri Lanka. I'm good in lots of IT things. I did my master's in IT and now I'm looking for a job. I have good IT skills and I can manage lots of IT jobs, and it's my passion to get a good job in IT. And then they usually finish off by saying, that's it. So this is quite a common opening pitch answer that I hear a lot, particularly from international students and graduates. So there's a lot of work that has to go into improving this answer. And someone has actually asked this, Aaron Taylor, what's the recommended length of time for your opening pitch? Feel free to pop in some answers there, guys. How long do you think this opening pitch should be? The next slide, we're going to look at a structure for your answer, okay? And I've got some timings for you to have a look at as well. 1 minute, 1 to 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Good stuff, guys. Around 30 seconds. Yeah, good, good, good. Guys, your opening pitch should be around 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds, absolute at most. If you're in an in-person interview or a Zoom interview, you can probably stretch it out a bit. If you guys are watching me at the moment, you can probably tell I'm using my hands. I'm trying to be entertaining to keep you guys from falling asleep. If it's a phone interview, you have less time because fundamentally humans, we're pretty lazy people. We get bored quite easily. I can hear someone mowing the lawn outside and I'm already getting distracted. So phone interview, keep it shorter. Video, face-to-face, a little bit longer. So here's Naren's golden answer for the opening pitch. There's 4 parts to this, right? In an interview, guys, try and keep things in a structured way, because when you're in an interview, you don't have time to sort of read notes or think. Okay, you've got to be very fast at giving the answer. So if you have a structure and you've practiced this structure, you'll be able to go into your interview and just be relatively calm because you know exactly what you're going to say, when you're going to say it, and how you're going to say it. So here are the 4 key sections. Number 1, always thank the panel. So you start by saying, sure, well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for inviting me for today's interview. That's it. Then move on to part 2. Quick intro. Look, as you know, my name's Naren and I'm a Masters of Data Science graduate from Deakin University. That's it. If you have a little bit of experience, you can say, and I've got around 6 months of experience as a data analyst. Okay. In your intro, you can also drop or name drop some key words. So you can say, sure, well, as you know, my name's Naren. I'm a data analyst, data science graduate from Deakin University with good skills in Python, Power BI, and Tableau. That's it, 15 seconds. Part 3 of your answer is the main part. Okay, and you can see I've probably allocated 50 to 60 seconds there. Start this section by saying, sure, well, in terms of my background, okay, in terms of my background, and then you start chronologically of your background. Well, after I finished my Bachelor of Science in IT, I did a 3-month internship as a software tester. In that role, I was mainly focused on manual testing of After that, I decided to pursue my master's, so I relocated to Australia or whatever. In my master's degree, I mainly focused on ABCD. Okay. If you're a fresh graduate with minimal experience, you can maybe talk a little bit about a major project. Here's a big tip. Even in your opening pitch, you should customize it. So if you're applying for a job as a web developer and you've got projects that were in networking, you can't talk about networking, okay? But if you've built websites on your own, talk about that. Keep it specific and relevant to what the job is. So you talk a little bit about your background, okay? And then it's over to your conclusion. So you can use phrases like, well, coming to my current situation. Or, currently I'm working at BP, or I'm currently working in customer service. However, I'm really keen to start my career in IT support. And that's why I applied for this position with HP or whatever. Okay? If it's a recruiter, you can say, and that's why I applied for this role with your clients. And then you finish off by saying, it looks like a terrific opportunity, and I'm really keen to learn more. Thank you. Okay? Always finish with a thank you. So this is my structure and my blueprint to handle that opening pitch. Okay? You need to practice this thing like 50 times. Okay? It has to become natural. It has to become, fluent. As you can see, I've done this 100 times, so, I can say this any time of the day to anyone. So again, take a screenshot of this or record it or something like that, just so you've got that structure. A final tip for you guys is this. You may prepare this answer and it may run for, say, 2.5 minutes. If it runs over time, like more than, say, 1.5 minutes, cut back, okay? So you've really got to cut back so that it's, 60 seconds, 90 seconds max. Path is asking, can I use that same format for face-to-face? Yes, you can. Okay, so this is a good question that people get wrong. What's your salary expectation? And here are some common answers that I hear. I'm happy to negotiate. Okay, wrong. I'm happy with anything. Definitely wrong. Or market rates. Or you get some interesting characters that will say, look, I'm really looking for a signing bonus, car allowance, 100K minimum. By the way, I'm just a fresh graduate. Okay? So avoid, going over what the experience you have. Okay? Or some people are a bit sneaky and they'll go, well, what are you offering me? What are you guys offering? Okay? So the reality is, you have to give an answer, okay? You can't avoid it. And it's an important question because if they're only offering 40 to 45 for a very junior role, and if you go, well, I'm looking for 60, they'll probably rule you out. I've also heard that it works the other way. So if they're actually offering, say, 70,000 and you say, oh, look, I'm happy with 50, that tells them you're probably not, you're at a different level perhaps, or you don't know the market. So you have to study this. A quick tip is this, on Seek and other websites, you can use the salary range toggle. Okay, so if you do happen to get shortlisted for an interview, you can, hopefully if the job's still listed, use the salary toggle thing and you'll be able to get the range. Another tip is this, every job you apply for, guys, copy paste Okay, I know a lot of you will be applying for, lots of jobs. Okay, and the worst thing that can happen is you get called for an interview, and then you're like scrambling. Oh my God, what was the job ad? What skills do they want? And it's this position is no longer being advertised. There goes your opportunity to really do some homework. Okay, and so always copy and paste the job ad into a Word document. Link it back to your sheet. Okay, so if you get an interview, you can really study that job ad. Okay, the correct answer is this. You can say, sure. Let's hypothetically say you've applied for a role as a business analyst. Here's the answer. Sure. Well, look, I've seen similar business analyst positions asking for 1 to 2 years of experience. I've seen similar BA roles with 1 to 2 years experience asking around the 50 to 60K mark. So my expectations are around that range. However, I'm happy to be flexible. Okay, I'll repeat again. Sure. Look, I've seen similar roles, similar BA roles, with around 1 to 2 years of experience, being advertised for around 50 to 60,000. So my expectations are around that range. However, I'm happy to be flexible. In that answer about the salary, I'm doing a couple of things. Number one, I'm referencing other roles that are similar. Okay, so the recruiter or the company don't think I'm just making this figure up. I'm telling them, hey, there are other roles like this, and they're asking around 50 to 60,000. And so my expectations are around that range. And I always finish off by saying, however, I'm happy to be flexible. Because if you guys are final year students or recent graduates, getting your first job is the most important thing, even if you have to take a bit of a pay cut. We have a lot of our students are doing internships, some are paid, some are unpaid to get the experience. And so, getting that first job is vital. So always finish by saying, I'm happy to be flexible. Interview essentials, what to wear. Always go professionally dressed. So, well, yes and no. What would you wear if you're going for an interview at a tech startup? If you go dressed like me to a tech startup, they probably won't let you in the front door. Okay, so you have to do your research on the company. Find out what sort of corporate culture they have. We work with lots of tech startups, and these guys are always dressed in casuals. So know the culture of the company. Eyes, voice, posture, smile. So if you are watching me in this presentation, this is not how I normally talk to my friends and family. If I talk like this to my friends and family, they'll think there's something wrong with me. But when you're in an interview, it's like a performance. So you have to be, the word is captivating. If you go into an interview and you basically say, hi, my name's Naren, I'm here for the job that was advertised on Seek. It's a really good job for me, and I'm happy to be part of the team. You can't do that. You have to have modulation in your voice, always have good eye contact. If there are 3 panel members, you have to look at each of the 3 panel members equally. What usually happens in an interview is sometimes one panel member, they'll ask you the question and then you give the answer, and then they'll start writing. So don't worry about looking at their head. Look at the other panel member. Smile. Okay, so everyone wants to hire someone who's a nice person, and smiling builds a really good connection between you and the company. So try and smile. Posture as well. So you can't go to an interview and just be like, hey guys, I'm here for the interview. You have to sit upright and straight and almost like on the edge of your seat. Okay, use your hands. Okay, you can put your hands on the table like this. You probably can't see, but use your hands to articulate your points. If you're giving examples, you can say, look, the first skill I have is this, the second, the third. Okay, Not too much though, but just enough to keep things moving. Okay, phone versus face-to-face. Phone interviews are harder because you can't connect, okay? And that's where your voice has to become really, really important. Having that energy in your voice. Face-to-face, again, you know, it's about the posture, it's about being captivating and engaging with your panel as well. So 4 and 5, we have behavioral questions, technical questions. In a lot of interviews, it's a mix. Some interviews will be more behavioral. Tell us a time you took initiative on a project. So the behavioral ones are more like scenario or tell us a time. They want to know, you know, how you reacted to a particular situation. The technical ones will focus on a particular technical skill. Okay, so they may say, tell us more about how you would use JavaScript to do da 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 da, or tell me more about this particular part of PHP to do this. And so you have to link all of these questions back to an example, and that's where we move into the STAR method, which is a very common method: the situation, the task, the action, and what was the outcome, the result. You can't give answers that don't have an example, okay? Every answer you give, you have to link it back to some real world application of whatever it is they're asking. So you have to do homework, guys. You have to think about your major assignments, your projects, any industry placements or internships. If it's a behavioral question, then they ask you, you know, tell us a time you had to work in a really challenging team. Okay. Now, if you're working at Woolworths or Kmart, you can give an example from like a non-industry type of situation. Okay, that's okay. Or you could talk about a particular team at university on a group assignment. So my point is this: you've really got to look at all of your, if you're a uni grad, look at all of your key projects, okay, and relate examples back to what you did on those projects, because that's all you've got at this point until you do something like an internship or a work experience program. Okay, so I know it's hard, especially if you have zero experience. And a lot of you here today will fall into that category where you're just a fresh graduate. Okay, I know what it feels like, because when I finished my commerce and marketing degree at Deakin many years ago, and I was applying for business-related graduate roles, entry-level roles, I was struggling when I went to an interview because the only experience I had was retail experience from my part-time weekend job and my uni assignments. Number 7 is really important, and I've lost count how many times I've been calling people for phone screening and there's no voicemail. Honestly, if the person doesn't have voicemail, I don't even bother, unless they're like an awesome candidate on paper. So have a voicemail. You know what the most annoying ones are? Those silly like a mobile. I've, you know, again, a lot of people have, oh, you call like a mobile. Or the ones worse than like a mobile are the ones where it says, you know, leave it, it's a 10-second and it translates it to an SMS. So if you are in the business of trying to get a job, have a professional voicemail set up. Okay. Hi, you've called Chris. I'm sorry I can't take your call at the moment. Please leave your name and number and I will call you back soon. Thank you. Okay, now number 8, I've sort of covered multiple jobs. Ask at the start. Sorry, I was just trying to, sorry, could you please confirm which position this was about? Because I have applied for a couple of roles. Just on that train of thought, sometimes sneaky recruiters will ask, are you applying for other jobs? Or sneaky HR managers or companies will say, are you applying for other roles as well? The worst thing you can say is, of course, I'm applying for heaps of jobs. But don't say that. Just say, look, you know, I have applied for a few roles. I'm in touch with a couple of recruiters. However, this position is the one that I'm most interested in because it's a really good match to my skills and experience. Okay, that's a quick tip. All right, we can move to the next slide, which should be what should you not ask. The English on that slide is not very good. It should be what you shouldn't ask. So definitely don't ask these questions. How much is this role paying? Don't ask that. Oh, this is the one I really don't like. And this is weird because when I read a lot of articles on, you know, best interview practice, and I hear a lot of career coaches and industry experts saying, you should ask this question. Do you guys give training? Never ask that question. Because if you ask that to me, I don't want to employ someone I need to train. I want to pay someone money, a salary, to someone who can hit the ground running. Okay, someone who doesn't need training. That's why you go to university. Even though some of the university degrees are not fantastic. I can say that because I used to work at different universities before and I know some courses are not great. I don't ask, do you give training, okay? I had someone asked this funny question. Are you interviewing any other candidates? Don't ask that. When will you make a decision? Don't ask that. It's not your concern. Oh my God, don't ask this one, number 5. Could you tell me a little bit about this role or what are the main goals? Don't ask these questions. Let's move to the next one. Here are 6 questions you can ask. Have a quick read. Okay, I like this question. What are the key priorities I'm going to be working on? And what's the team structure like? That's not a bad one. What sort of qualities are you looking for in the candidates? Number 4, you can ask about challenges. Number 5 is okay. You know, is this a new role? Probably keep that one as a spare question. I like number 6. You know, what does success look like in this role? What are the KPIs? If your mind goes blank and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to ask. Always just ask this question. What are the next steps from here? What's the process? If anyone in an interview goes, no, I don't have any questions, it's really bad. So never ever say no, don't have questions. Don't ask anything they've already covered. So if they say, look, this position will be working on the main metro tunnel doing structural design. Okay, if you go, so what am I going to be doing on this job? Well, you said something about structural. Okay, tells them you haven't been paying attention. Okay, so I think we've come to the end of the presentation, so we can go to the thank you page. And I've left a little bit of time for us to go through some questions. We can actually flick to the last slide on the next steps as well, so feel free to toggle to that one. Let's go to some Q&A. So I've got a thank you.
Yep, if that's okay, thank you very much. I really enjoyed that chat. And I get to ask you the questions that have been selected from the many that you can see there. And I hope you're ready to go.
Yes.
Okay, and the first one is how to answer the tell me about yourself for someone going back to work after a long gap.
Yep, good question. A lot of people may have big employment gaps, and that's okay. Try and fill those gaps with Udemy courses, LinkedIn learning courses. You know, even if you do some online training for free, bridge the gap. So the gap, if it's 1 year or 2 years, they know you haven't just been sitting at home. Still use the same structure, but fill the gap with either an internship or study. And it's okay to talk about that gap and say, look, you know, I do have a small gap because I took a year off after my master's, or I went on a trek for 6 months to Nepal. But in that time, I've also been actively building up my website portfolio. I've just developed an app or blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's how you would still use the structure, but address the gap but with evidence of what you've been doing to upskill as a professional.
Fantastic. Are you ready for question 2?
Sure.
How do I get follow-ups or constructive feedback from recruiters?
It's a good question, and the reality is it's really hard to get honest feedback. Most of the time they'll say, oh, yeah, look, unfortunately, we just found a candidate who was a better match, okay? And they're too afraid to actually say, well, the reason why you didn't get the job was because you screwed up question 3. So it's really tough to get honest feedback, and recruiters, unfortunately, they're not your friend. Some are, but their job is to place candidates to get their commission, and so they're not always going to be, happy to have a half an hour debriefing session. But try and get some feedback and say, look, is there anything I could improve on? Okay. But the reality is it's really hard to get honest feedback unless it's from a company. Next question.
Okay. Next question. If I'm a 70 to 80% match with the job requirements and get asked for a skill that I miss, how should I say that without losing competencies?
It's a very good question, because most of the time for the jobs we apply for, we are only like a 60 to 70% match. But you will get a question in an interview, okay, where they will ask you something you may not know or have experience in. Now, if that applies to you, and let's say I'm going for a job as a web developer, and they ask me, have you built a site, or have you got React.js experience, or have you got AngularJS experience? If I don't, that's okay. You need to still address it and say, look, I'm sure. Well, look, most of my experience has been more in HTML and CSS and JavaScript, but I haven't had an opportunity to actually get involved in X, Y, Z. However, the however word is really important in job interviews. You need to say, however, I have recently done a short course, or I have recently been doing da 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 da. Okay, to prove to them that you're on top of it, and then finish off by saying, so I have a really strong foundation when it comes to React.js, and I'm really keen and excited to actually be able to apply that on the upcoming projects in this role. Now, if for whatever reason they ask you something and you have absolutely no idea about, so they may go, tell us more about your experience doing CFD modeling when it comes to aerospace design. It's like, what? So another default position is this. So pretend like you haven't been caught off guard and go, what? See what? So you can always use this. I would say something like, well, you can always go, well, sorry, could you repeat the question? Okay. So you can ask, can you repeat the question once? Maybe twice in an interview. But if every second question you're going, could you repeat that again, please? It's not gonna end well. So you can go, sorry, could you repeat that? I would always blame my university. Okay. So always come back to your core strengths and go, look, my strengths are in this, and I didn't have an opportunity to study, I think you mentioned CFD modeling. Unfortunately, we didn't really get a chance to cover that in my master's, so I haven't got a lot of experience. Having said that, I am a quick learner. Recently, I was just doing a short 2D modeling course, and I was able to pick that up quickly. So, I haven't got direct experience in that CFD modeling, but I know it is related to X. Okay, so if they ask you something you don't have, try and link it to something you know that it's sort of related, so you can talk about that. What I'm teaching you guys is this: to avoid saying, no, I don't know anything about it. Next question. You can't do that in an interview. You can't go, no, I'm sorry. No, I don't know. You can't do that. You have to try and prove to them that you can work around it and that you've got relatable experience, or give them evidence that you can pick it up quickly. So hopefully that helps.
That's a very good answer. Here's the next one. Can I delay accepting an offer if I'm still in an interview progress with another company? I'm thinking, how can I?
Yeah, it's a nice position to be in when you've got multiple offers. And it's a tricky one. It actually happened to me. I was working at RMIT and I got an offer at Monash, and I had to unfortunately let RMIT know, and they weren't very happy. So I'm not sure if I'm allowed on the RMIT campus anymore, but that was 10 years ago. But look, try and delay it. So my advice is this: if you get 2 offers, there will always be one that you know is your dream job or it's a better opportunity. And it always happens that that's the last offer you get. I could speak about this for a while, but my point is this: whatever offer you get, try and buy yourself some time without losing it or making them upset. Okay, so you may get to a point where you need to accept that offer, but then call up the other company and you can say, look, you know, I really hate to do this, but I have been offered a position with another organisation. However, this role with whoever, you know, this is the role that I really want. I'm just wondering, you know, is there a timeline on the decision? Okay, so there's a number of ways you can handle it. Ultimately, your goal is to get the role that's right for you. If it means burning a bridge with another company, it's not great, but sometimes you have to do it. But you have to handle this delicately, because the worst thing is you lose both offers. Okay, so it's a really tricky situation, but you know, you've just got to, and everything moves very, very quickly. Okay, you don't want to annoy the company that's made you the offer. You don't want to harass the other company to get the offer. You got to just manage it in a very sensitive way. Okay, but the bottom line is you don't want to lose anything, because the company that you really want to get, or the job you really want to get, they may retract the offer and go, sorry, our CFO has just slashed the staffing budget for the next 6 months and we're actually not offering that anymore, sorry. Okay, so hopefully that gives you some ideas.
Thank you. Next question. During an interview, how can you answer a question regarding poor grades in a semester or a year due to mental health or COVID?
Yeah, it's a fair question. I think a lot of employers nowadays are very flexible regarding what happened last year, and that a lot of people have struggled with online learning. And so you can talk about and say, hopefully you've got some other grades that are better. And say, look, you know, this was just a bit of a glitch. I'm not particularly pleased about it. And yes, I did, you know, fail that particular unit because, you know, I had some, try not to get into too much personal issues and say, oh my God, like my girlfriend left me for another guy or something like that. Try and just explain and say, look, you know, the online learning transition was quite challenging. Again, use that however, this is what I learned from it. I learned that I needed to dedicate more time to my online Okay. And last
Thank
question.
you. Final question, yes. It looks like there's a lot, but we've got no time for this last one. Is there a disadvantage if you are overqualified and shouldn't disclose all your qualifications?
This sort of impacts on people who have PhDs. I'm not sure how many people listening today have PhDs, but I know a lot of private industry, if you have a PhD, you know, they rule you out. But I don't think, when you say overqualified, you may, I don't know if you mean, you know, you've got too much experience like from overseas and now you're trying to apply for an L1 support job here. But what I will say is you have to tailor your resume and your cover letter to suit that job. So for example, if you're applying for like a casual tech support job where all they want you to do is install Windows 10 on 1,000 machines, and then you present them with a resume that shows bachelor's, master's, all of this stuff, they may rule you out. So again, you've got to tailor it to the job. getting interviews is hard, and it's hard because you have to customize everything. Okay, so there can be some disadvantages, but you can hide the irrelevant stuff. Okay, so let's say you're applying for a job. Let's say you just want a casual job as a network. You've seen some job. It's a 2-week network contract thing where they just want you to hook cables up. Who cares? But you're a computer science graduate, full stack developer, 3 years overseas experience. Try and cover that up a bit, okay? Because they don't care that you're a full stack developer. All they want is someone reliable, hardworking, who can do a 1-month, 4-week IT contract with a company, okay? And so that's my advice when it comes to that. So hopefully that's given you some good insight.
Look, it's been a fantastic session, Naren. Thank you very much for your time.